Greetings and welcome to the Transforming Assessment, eAssessment Scotland online conferences, our second session in the series. So today is 10th of September, time is approximately 7 a.m. GMT. So today's speakers are Seow, Teck, Keong and Jeffery. Apologies if I didn't pronounce your names properly. They are both from the National University of Singapore, and they're going to be talking about bring your own laptop e-exams that they have in their large classes at NUS, NUS being National University of Singapore. So, Jeffery and Seow, take it away, please.
All right, so we are here. I'm Keong. I'm Jeffery. Okay, I guess we will shut off the video for now and continue with the talk itself to save some bandwidth. Okay. I think I'm different. Okay, so before we start, I'll just share why in NUS we are doing e-exams. Alright, so firstly, you want to make it more authentic. So, examples like, for example, showing high resolution medical images rather than photocopied versions, make it more real for the students. And showing video clips or audio clips, mimic what they encounter in real life situations as well. Okay, it allows us to have actually improved question analytics. We can actually delve into questions and see how well they perform and whether there's any unfairness in the question itself. It allows us better efficiency and fairness in grading as well as reporting. So with e-exams and e-marking, we can actually use the system to auto-mark, or else we can use the system to check for any plagiarism or any blind marking, for example. So along with auditing and reporting, we also have auditing as well. So being an e-system, we actually record every action that's taken in the system. So if there's any complaints, you can check the audit logs to see what happens. So with hard copy scripts, there is a requirement to store it for about at least 5 to 6 years. So this presents quite a considerable challenge because Singapore has quite limited space. So having it in electronic form makes it a lot easier to store. I can store tens of years of scripts in the one tom drive, for example. It reduces human error, so we won't have issues with, for example, transferring of marks from paper to e, or handling of scripts where maybe scripts can get lost. More importantly, we do not need to worry about illegible handwriting. So, fields like medicine, where doctors' handwriting can be quite horrible, we won't have this issue with e-exams. So in 2012, we actually did a BYOD, where we moved from PC cluster to BYOD. So some of the things that is possible there is that the students find that the laptop becomes a personal learning environment. So because of that, it reduces their stress and it reduces the system delay as well, because they don't need to transit. It's easier for them to transit between paper to that personal learning environment versus pen and paper. Okay, yeah. So NUS has been running e-assessments since 2006. So on average, we have about 200 students per run. We generally don't have anything lesser than that due to our enrollment size. So we support both continuous assessment as well as high-stakes exams. So if you see in the chart, we generally didn't do much for the first few years. It was only in the last 2 years when you implemented BYOD that the number of assessments actually jumped quite high. So I'm going to zoom into the first solution that we did in 2006, which is the VP and the PC cluster solution. So why PC clusters? So back in 2006, which is almost 10 years ago, laptops were both costly and bulky. We didn't have ultrabooks, we had very thick books. They were not easy to manage. Laptops were ridiculously hard to manage. PCs, in comparison, is a lot easier to manage. And ownership of the devices reduces the risk of cheating. Because we own and manage the device, there's no way for the student to sideload anything or to cheat, because they can access some backdoor into the system. So why VPN was because back then there wasn't much of a solution available. So we used a VPN solution to provide a guest environment to access resources. So it's also restricted access based on credentials. What a VPN did essentially is it kind of implements a firewall on the laptop, on the PC itself, so they can only access certain resources from the internet. Then it didn't allow them to see their local hard disk, so they had no way to browse their hard disk. Okay, So So yeah, so essentially it loads IE, Internet Explorer, then it hides everything else, so they can't really go anywhere in the environment. Yeah, we don't have a way to run 1005. That's why we went for BYOD. Okay, so what's so good about it? It's easy for students to just sit down and take an exam, like what Berlin is doing now. It's easy for staff to create the questions as well. They just go to a system and e-system and they just do it. Then we have auto marking solution inside there as well, so that assures that there's zero errors between the marking all the way to the processing. Sorry. So the cons of the system, in order to set this thing up, it takes us a very, very long time. We had to plan 2 or 3 days of setup, and they run it for an hour or two, and then we have to take another 1 day to tear down. So other than that, because of the network dependency, there was always this system lagging. So the user always will find that when they're answering a question, it will suddenly lag for 1 or 2 seconds, then it connects again. So we have connectivity issues. Basically, it's a core VPN solution. There's a limit on how many students can connect at a single time. So 300 was taxing the system itself. Another thing to note was that in the PC cluster, we actually had normal keyboards. So being normal keyboards are actually quite noisy when a lot of them are typing at the same time. So a lot of students actually complain that it causes a distraction to them. It's also not scalable. Once we hit the max of our PC clusters, we can't go any further. It's also the exorbitant cost of the VPN solution. And lastly, it does not completely lock down the system. It only blocks certain things from being seen. So in 2008, we felt that this wasn't the way to go. It's becoming harder and harder to use. So we were doing some exploration to see what can be done to improve the situation. So like I said, the price system is not feasible in the long term. There's also a lot of possible security loopholes, making it unsuitable for high-stakes exams. We didn't want the students to cheat in the high-stakes exams. That's a no-no. So what happened was we conducted feasibility studies on commercially available solutions. Unfortunately, back then, nothing really worked. They didn't really meet what we want in terms of lockdown, or they were too costly. So since it's a PC cluster, we have full control over machines, we decided to do an in-house solution. Again, PC clusters are a lot easier to manage. So in-house solution, it was designed to have a backend dashboard to manage and set up exam sessions, and a lot more security lockdown versus what we had in the VPN solution. So it literally turns the PC into a kiosk mode. Any PC rather, but we decided to use a PC cluster. So with this solution, out goes the lengthy setup and tear down, the connectivity issues, the system slowness. But I think keyboards were still there because we're still using a keyboard cluster. It's not really scalable because we are limited by the number of PCs in the PC cluster. Sorry. Yeah, but then along with it came ease of system administration. It's a lot easier to manage the solution. We have a lot stricter controls compared to what we had before. And it's a lot stricter authentication protocols as well. So a student must really be there using the machine in order for them to count. If they were to masquerade as somebody else somewhere else, they kind of get freaked out. Okay, so all went along coming peacefully until 2012, where BYOD seems to be in favor. Everybody seems to go for BYOD, and we were thinking whether is it possible to scale to 1,005 or more than 200 student solution. Okay, so in 2012, other than Windows machines, MacBooks will become popular with the advent of the iPad and the iPhones. Okay, BYOD was also becoming popular as well. But then the PC cluster solution that we had was incompatible with both. The other problem was Windows was also constantly upgrading. We started with Windows XP, there was Windows Vista and Windows 7. So all these upgrades introduced a lot of security vulnerabilities that needs to be fixed or overwritten, which wasn't exactly easy. There's also these new requirements where they wanted open book and we had increased class size. So in 2012, the landscape for eAssessments became a bit better commercially. So after conducting a feasibility study, we found that responsive lockdown browsers seems to be suitable with certain caveats. Okay, so why lockdown browser? So lockdown browser is good because it supports both Windows and Mac platforms. It can lock down both of them. It implements a limited set of log protocols. So they can only access certain URLs. They are blocked from certain keystrokes certain keystrokes, and they cannot access local storage. So if you compare the list with the previous one, it's a lot lesser, but it's a trade-off because the previous one couldn't support Mac anyway. So why it's good? It supports BYOD. It allows you to view PDF files. So the problem with responders then is that students need to install and verify that it works properly on the machine before the exam. We had cases where the students actually need to reformat the machine in order for that to work. So it has limited learner capabilities, and BYOD actually introduces a lot of new challenges compared to before. So things like dedicated electrical socket, stable network connectivity comes into play where previously we didn't really need to bother. So again, but then even with LD logdown browser, there's still no support for math or Freenet inputs, which is things that our lecturers are looking for. And and because of all these technical requirements, there's also an increase in technical manpower requirements to support and run BYOD compared to the previous solution. So I should hand off to Teck to talk about the LSM 1301 case study.
All right. So this was the exam that was conducted in November last year, and Jeffery was the one who helped me Jeffery and his team was the one who helped me to make sure that the technicalities of the whole thing went through. So it's the first large-scale high-stakes e-exam in NUS using BYOD approach. So it's a very large module. Well, we call it a module over here. It's equivalent to a course in some other university. So this is a course non-majors biology course, mainly taken by first-year students, but not necessarily all first year. So that semester we had 672 students, and the final exam, high-stakes final exam, was always an open book, multiple choice exam. And so I approached Jeffery and I asked him, is it possible to have an exam, an e-exam for, well, 600 to 700 people? And he said it was possible, and so we went ahead with it. And we had to switch to the BYOD format because of the large class size, and it's technically and are not feasible to have it within the a cluster itself, right? Rebecca, no formats, no other questions were tried for this module. Okay, it was all multiple choice MCQs. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, so well, in this case study, the main thing was to make sure that the students were prepared and they were ready for the new exam format, and of course to make sure that the exam ran as smoothly as possible for all the 672 students. Matthew will know this. In fact, we had prepared a press release just in case something were to go wrong, considering the sensitivity of an exam going very wrong in a national university. So of course, on Jeffrey's part, he had to make sure that the various objectives of the stakeholders were met, and I was talking to him.
So various stakeholders are involved to ensure that this e-exam runs smoothly, and we didn't have to use that press release. So Command Center was there to make sure that the core infrastructure was working properly. So things like the server, the network, the wireless was fine and running okay. My department, Center for Instructional Technology, was there to provide technical support and to train the students and staff to make sure that they all can use the system as in the easiest possible way. Department faculty and registrar office were there to provide logistical support. You have a few questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Alex, well, we had about what? 300 plus students per round. So the exam was actually the other class was divided into 2 batches. I'll talk a little bit about that later. That would have meant that there was a need to quarantine the students.
There's no mathematics calculation, including the steps.
Mathematics, yes, they had to use their own calculators for that. Right. Okay, moving on. So to prepare the students, we did a trial run mock exam. One of the first things, as Jeffrey had mentioned earlier, was to make sure that the students could install the lockdown browser into their laptops. So that was one of the main reasons we had the trial run, and also to get the students mentally prepared to know what to expect, and that was also a good time for us to find out what could go wrong and to test the system out, right? So
yeah. So what actually happened in the back end there was that in order to make sure that this thing runs as smoothly as possible, we should have 10% of standby machines as backup in case anything went wrong.
This was for the actual exam.
For the actual exam, yes. So like I said, Computer Center was there to ensure that the core infrastructure was working properly. So before the mock and actual exam, they actually went down as well to test the equipment to make sure that the wireless was working fine. There was everything downstream from the wireless to the server was okay. So we also prepared standby equipment, so the wireless access point, switches, which you see on the screenshot. The TV is not in use for the exam, but the wires and the switches are. So we also prepared a backup exam location, so in case things go terribly wrong, there's still another place that students can go to continue the eAssessment. Yeah. So some of the technical issues that occurred. So during the mock exam, like I said, software incompatibility was there. There's a lot of the probably about the backup location is not a lab, it's exhibition center. Yeah. Wi-Fi reliability wasn't exactly there. It was decent. Yeah. Yeah. So during the mock exam, like I said, the software doesn't really work with most of the machines. With Mac was fine. Windows, because every student came out with different version of Windows and different type of software installed inside there. And it ended up that my department had to fix things like antivirus, Windows update, everything that can come about came about. So there's also cases where the student had to stay back for a few hours or even left their laptops overnight for my guys to go and reformat the machine just to make sure that it works properly. Then we also realized that under certain software, when certain software will run, the lockdown was circumvented. For some strange reason, they can walk around the lockdown without any major hacking involved. You just install certain software, and it worked. Yeah, well, it was either formatting a laptop or you have old laptop, so the choice was quite clear for them. Okay, so during the actual exam, what happened was that because we have international students, so some of them actually brought in correct power adapters, which ended up causing a power surge and backing up rows of powers for the students. We actually have to have people going to find extension cords just to make sure that they can run properly. We have about 10% of the laptops crashing, hanging, or unable to connect to Wi-Fi. I have no idea why, but it just don't work properly even then. So for the 10%, what we had was 30-second rule. Within 30 seconds, if you can't fix it, you replace the laptop with another one.
Oh,
high stakes were these exams? High stakes. Yeah.
Very high stakes. It was the final exam, and it accounted for 60% of their final marks. Right.
Yeah. We had for the actual exam, we had about 80 laptops, 80 loaner laptops borrowed from the entire university. Yeah. Then there was another 2% or so that had inconsistent limitation of lockdown, where for some strange reason they just had different ways, different lockdown limitations. So like some actually could access the dictionary, some of them couldn't. Okay.
Yes, to answer Rebecca, no, they did not have the receipt. We gave them new laptops, not new laptops, loan laptops, yes, from the university. All right, so we did a students' perception study as well with this 672 students. So the exam was in November, and somewhere around mid-October, we did a pre-exam survey, and we managed to get 98% response. And after the exam, somewhere in mid-December, we did another post-exam survey. Of course, we did not get very high response rate, only 59% response. And then somewhere in March this year, it was a bit late, we recognize that. Actually, we had focus group discussions. We sent out emails to invite the students to come and have small group discussions. That was led by third person, not by any of the instructors, so that they were free to express their views without feeling intimidated. So about 15 students came, so that was quite bad actually, 2% response. But the discussion was very good. It brought out certain points that I will bring up later. Okay, so talking about the post-exam, pre and post-exam surveys, you can see that more than 75% actually were positive about the e-exam, the BYOD exam, and after the exam, it was also about the same percentage of students who of respondents who were satisfied with the e-exam. So no change. It's about the same for both pre and post exam. So okay. Well, from the surveys, we allowed the students to the freehand comments as well, and they did put in some points, and also from the discussion, the focus group discussion, we were able to elicit some positive feedback from the students as well as negative feedback, right? So what was positive? Well, the students agreed that it was more efficient. Apparently, clicking was more preferred over shading, because it was a multiple choice exam. So normally they would have to shade into the bubble form. Clicking was more efficient. And the other thing was that when it came to referencing of notes, it was much faster. And we are talking about soft copy notes here. The soft copy notes were actually uploaded to the server for them to use as references for the final exam, considering that this is an open book exam. So they could use the Control F or Command F keys depending on whether you're using a Mac or a Windows. There were also students who commented that yes, it was good to use their own laptop. In fact, one student mentioned that she felt that it was not. She didn't feel that it was an exam. She didn't because she was doing the exam using her own laptop. Well, due to the trial run and mock exam, where everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, they were positive about the actual final exam, and they felt that it was very well organized. Yeah. Well, negative. Well, as Jeffrey mentioned, there were some cases of dropped connections, and certain cases whereby they found that the downloading of the notes were a bit slow and lagging, And the other thing that the students were not quite happy was that they were actually told that they could review the webcast recordings of the lectures during the exam. So that was mentioned as one of the plus points of switching from a pen and paper exam to an e-exam. However, due to limitations with Wi-Fi and so on, it was felt that that may actually, bring down the whole system. So they were not allowed to do so. So what was promised was not fulfilled. And of course, limitations of the lockdown browser, which Jeffrey mentioned earlier. Well, another thing was that it took a while for the students to get used to, to doing an e-exam because with a pen and paper exam, for example, if you were attempting a question and there were 5 options, you will normally mark out or eliminate maybe 3 options, and if you have 2 options that you are not sure, you will leave it. And some students will say, okay, I'll look at this question later, I'll attempt other questions first. But unfortunately, you can't do that on the computer screen, at least currently. So they had to, when they came back to the question, they couldn't remember or they couldn't recall which options they had actually eliminated. Yes, many were very unhappy with the quarantine period because during that period they were not allowed to have any access to any electronic devices. This was to prevent any possible communication with latecomers of the other batch of students. So we showed them some videos and so on, but obviously they were not interested. And you must remember, at that time, that was the exam period. So some of the students felt that it was a waste of time because they would rather use the time to revise other modules or other courses. Okay, in closing, I'll hand it over to Jeffrey.
So one check. Okay, so conclusions. Pedagogy influences examination modes very highly. So all this while we're looking at a closed book or prison kind of environment where we do a full or limited lockdown. So there's this new pedagogy where lectures are actually looking at open book, where there's it's actually next to no lockdown. So that itself will change the game altogether. Yeah. So so using having a closed book or full lockdown mode is close is possible with BYOD implementation, even with a commercial solution. So the reason is because we have tried several solutions. None of them actually can assure you that they will lock down the solution, the laptop altogether. So on screen. There's too many. Sorry, hold on.
We are trying to.
It's full now possible if not live on screen. Rebecca, like I said, it depends on how or what you want to do with it. So full lockdown in the sense that they can't access anything except the exam resources. So in this case, we have found ways that every solution out there can be circumvented. Of course, you need to be really, really good to do it, but it's not impossible. REMI, the marking of exams is automatic because it's MCQ, so there's automark involved that's been done.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let us continue first.
Yeah, I think we'll continue.
Yeah. Okay, so open book if no unlimited lockdown is possible with certain solutions. In fact, if everyone goes towards open book concept, we may not even need lockdown at all, which will make it a lot easier. You just need a web browser to access the quiz and they are done. Of course, then the question is whether can they communicate with each other or whether communication is allowed. So that itself is a different thing altogether. There's also constant maintenance and upgrade required to ensure the solution is ahead of hackers and students. So students, like for example for computing, are sure to hack this. So yeah, anything short of no lockdown is a tempting treat for computing students. Because for them, the ability to hack the system is better than scoring 100% for the exam. Yeah. And the next thing that makes a whole lot of difference is high stakes nature. Because it's a high stakes exam, you need to make sure that a lot of things, everything is equal for all the students. So equality comes at a very high cost. So for example, how long do we have to keep the data, and how do we ensure that this data is spell compatible with all the new versions of the software? If I knew, I'll be happy. Do we need to consider a more stringent electronic supervision? So do we need to also like something like NSA style, where we literally monitor everything that comes in and out of the machine? Is that feasible? Does that violate their privacy, for example? How far do we go to audit the student's action? Do we literally track every keyboard that they press? Do we detect whether there's any rootkits, anything that's funny on the machines? And if we were to do that, how are they going to circumvent it, and how are we going to catch up with all these hacks that comes along with it? Lastly, how many M+2 failures do we need to cater? So for now, we have a location, we have backup machines we have backup equipment. Is that enough? Do we need to have a backup location? Do we need to have another backup location of the backup location just in case it fails? Because no matter it's a high stakes exam. Okay, so what we're looking for next, we are looking for easy to deploy solution that's as effortless as a flick of a switch. Easier said than done. Currently there's no holy grail. We can't find anything in the market that's able to do this. Okay, the reason is actually in the picture that I will show later. But the good news is, technology is evolving at a very quick pace. So there may be a solution that will come out soon. How soon, nobody knows, but iPad may be the way. Okay, so I just like to share with you guys something that I always find on the internet. So secure, usable, and cheap, they are never together. The question now is, do we want a secure, usable solution that's expensive? Is the university able to pay for that price? And does it justify the benefits? So if it's a usable and cheap solution, generally it's not secure, or there can be ways to break the security. So is that feasible for high stakes? Maybe not. A secure and cheap solution is not usable. Can we train the students to make it, to understand how to use it? Yes and no. Yeah. So there's no answer that we can find at the moment. If we have something, I'm pretty sure we'll let everybody know. And if you know something, I would love it, you can tell me as well. Yeah, I think that's it. With that, we will end our session.
Yeah. Any questions?
That you want us to answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we missed quite a lot of questions as we were presenting.
Yeah.
The questions were coming fast and furious.
Okay, so can I just butt in here? If people would like to ask a question using their microphone, we've still got a bit of time left in the session. So if you'd like to put up your hand, that's the little hand symbol at the top of the participants list. We'll be able to hand the mic over to you.
Naidu, like I said, it depends on whether we're looking at the open book or closed book concept. If it's open book, it's cheap because anything works. If it's anything short of full open book, then the cost would jump to quite high, few $1 million maybe or more.
Hi Daniel, yeah. Can I just make a comment on this one? What we're doing is we've found, yes, the Apple trackpads can have a problem. A wired USB mouse solves that instantly, but we have told our students that if they're using an Apple with the bootable Linux stick, simply they just have to remember that the scrolling action, the two-finger scrolling, is opposite, and the command key and the control key will be opposite because the Linux system tends to map the keyboard according to Windows rather than according to Mac. But other than that, it seems to be okay. Sorry for interrupting, folks.
Yeah, then for our side, it's a lot easier. We only support Windows and Mac OS, nothing else. I feel about why is real level too high. Team, I don't know why it's 10%. Somehow it just seems to be 10% for the exams that we run. It's just a magical number that comes about. As for
Kelly,
how different is this picture of people? Okay.
Kelly, so it wasn't a one hall. We actually had the exam in
various locations.
yeah, 4 different locations next to each other. And all the 4 exam venues were fitted with power points, electrical outlets, so that every laptop had its own separate power socket. And of course, we had to ensure that the Wi-Fi was stable at all the 4 venues.
I think the give us 10%. Alexander, the 10% we have a 30-second rule. If we don't fix it, we will replace it. Yeah. Okay, so
Rebecca.
Okay, Alexander. So during the actual exam, each of our staff was told about 30-second rule. So within 30 seconds, they must fix the laptop. If they can't fix the laptop, they replace the laptop immediately. So the turnaround is at most, I give you 45 seconds. Yeah. So Rebecca, regarding the students who had problems, so the system was configured in a way that we actually give them time. So let's say, for example, their machine hang in the middle of the question, we actually give them back the time that was lost from when they answered the question. So how the system was configured is that every time they answer a question, we actually keep a time. So as long as they don't answer the next question, that time, they will turn back to that point in time when they answered the last question. So there is actually a loophole in the sense that the students want to exploit this particular trick. Yeah.
There's an open source safe exam browser.
Alexander, yes, it detects VM. Most of the common VMs, yes. Most of the commercial solutions will detect. So the lockdown browser has more or less the basic suite of things that is being blocked by most of the commercial solutions. So did they not lose that? Yes, Rebecca, yes, they continue where they left off.
Yeah.
With the time where they last answered the last question.
So they did not lose any time.
Yes, they can.
Yes, they can go back. Yes.
Yep, everything went to the server. Nothing was stored on the client side. So essentially the machine became a dumb terminal for them to answer questions only. Everything that they submitted or they viewed came from the server.
How many Teck persons? Okay, Jeffery.
A lot more than what you have at Alexander. So like what Prof. Seow said, they have 4 LTs. So each LT had 2 Teck support. So a total of 8.
So the wireless becomes a big risk.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So the wireless is the concern for the exam. Alright, it's the single point of failure that we have that probably will come out true. Because power, we have backup for power, but wireless we don't really have a backup. And with 300 students at the same time hitting the wireless, that becomes the bottleneck. Okay, wow.
Minimum.
Okay, regarding the minimum standards, we just say the laptop must be at least at most 3 years old. So something like 2 gig RAM, 2 CPU, any graphics card will be fine.
Tobias, why do we use wireless at all? It's quite impossible to find 300 network points at the same time. Yeah. Team. Yeah.
Team, if you want, you can. I think Rob is speaking tomorrow, where his university seems to have no problem with Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's something I'm curious about too. James, we actually add on additional access points just for the exam. So use existing one plus additional EPs. Are they forward to them? Trevor, no. Essentially, the questions are all randomized and options are randomized. So even if they try to cheat, there's nothing much that they can do about it.
Yeah. Plus the fonts were rather small. It was designed to be so.
Yes.
So it was not possible for someone to actually look across and see. To look at the next question, the question of the person in front of him or her. No. Yes, team. We are actually very curious.
With regard to randomization, usually the randomization theory is done such that each and every student will have a different option, different randomization sequence. So no two of them side by side will be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the questions that were randomized, but the options as well.
Yes, both questions and options.
Visually impaired. Oh, we didn't consider that.
Okay, so for the or rather for those that have certain
Special needs.
special needs, yeah, we actually had another room catered for them.
Yes. So we had a student actually who who was given extra time because of certain medical conditions. So that student actually took the exam in a separate room. Somewhere which was actually quite near the 4 lecture theatres that we had used.
What did you fairness with randomized question order?
Very interesting point that you brought up, Tobias. Well, we did not think about that. Yeah.
You see, regarding accessibility issues, another thing that we had was that students are allowed to, or rather the system was catered to allow, for example, for color blindness as well. So someone with color blindness will actually see a different colored screen versus the rest of them. And again, the color will depend on what color blindness they have. Those that have audio problems will have headsets, all this and so on. So typically we'll try to cater for accessibility issues. As for the font size, some of them they can actually increase the font size as well. So it's not an issue, not major problem there.
Okay. Dyslexic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matthew, I think you have said it.
Yes, that's essentially the thing we're looking at. So for high-density Wi-Fi that works with, like in hotels and exhibition halls where they have a lot of Wi-Fi connection and it works with everybody. But again, the problem with Wi-Fi is that because it's physical, or rather something more variable, you can't really control it as much as you can with a wire. So there's still no 100% guaranteed connection with the Wi-Fi. Versus whereas with a wire, if you have a Wi-Fi, it's usually working. Yeah, the Wi-Fi would still fail to a certain percentage. Okay.
From outside the room.
They can't connect to the Wi-Fi. John, that's easy because we have a certain Wi-Fi key for them to connect to. So if they're not there, they can connect. And we have guys outside the perimeter to make sure that in the places where the Wi-Fi leaked out, there's nobody there to play punk. Yeah. There's also physical security involved in the actual exam, not just technical security. Yeah. So you need to make sure that physically they can't cheat.
Okay, folks, I think we might stop it there. I think we're just about, we've got still 10 minutes, but that's okay. People can, I'm going to stop the recording. People can stick around. But if people want to head off, that's fine. Remember, we have a session tomorrow. If I remember rightly, is it the UBC folks with the, I couldn't remember. Jeff, do you remember who's coming up tomorrow?
Rob. for UBC.
Rob, yeah, sure. Rob from UBC. So for those people who have just joined us, sorry, the session is almost finished, but we're going to get on again tomorrow. Tomorrow's session will be Rob from the University of British Columbia, and he's going to be talking to us about their near bulletproof wireless network. So we're all very interested in this one. So thanks, Seow, and thanks, Jeff. The talk was very interesting. We got lots of discussion happening, and hopefully you guys can join us again for the future sessions. So stopping the recording now, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.